what they called their guns back then, muskets. Now, a musket could be used for a lot of things around the farm. You could use it for hunting, scaring wild animals away from your livestock, and you could also use it for fighting. What else? Yeah, go ahead. Protection, like armor. Okay, well, I've got some bad news for you. Here's the thing: armor from the 18th century is not impervious to bullets from the 18th century, so it would go right through you. And not only that, what's a farmer going to have armor for? Was he going to? You know what? I need to go out there and plow that field. And I was growing Brussels sprouts out there, the most dangerous of all of the vegetables. Let me put my armor on. Put his armor on his helmet. Ah, ka-chink, ka-chink. Okay, no. A farmer's not going to have armor. But how about this? Practice. The average Minuteman unit would practice somewhere between twice a week and twice a month. So you shoot the other guy before he shoots you. You practice. You get fast at loading your musket and accurate. That is good defense. What else? Yeah.
You could use the spear on the end of the musket. I think they call them like bay leaves now.
Bay leaves?
Or like a bay knife or something. Like
bay knife? Yeah, okay, I'll get back to that later. All right, so you're basically what you're talking about is like a sword or a spear. Okay, but here's the thing. What's a farmer going to use a sword for? Is it, you know what? Those carrots and potatoes, they were not growing like they should. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to teach them a lesson. Shing! Ah! Chop and slice, and there's carrot juice on everything, and look, I got a potato by the eye. A farmer's not going to have a sword, right? But how about a knife? Now, a knife is just like a short sword, and it could be used for a lot of things around the farm. You could use it for cutting rope, carving pieces of wood. You could use it for making chicken nuggets. They don't make themselves, and if the British get close to you, you can make British nuggets like that. You see when I did that, his eyes are all boing, like, you okay? They'll be fine. They'll be fine. All right, so what else are you going to want? Sitting next to the front door. Yes?
A cannon.
A cannon. Sure, and what's a farmer going to have a cannon for? You know what? We need some more hamburgers, so I got the cow tied up right over there, and here's my cannon right here. We go! Oh, Bessie. No. A farmer's not going to have a cannon. All right, one last thing. Third row.
It's going to have a
All right. All right, go ahead.
food.
Food, right? You're going to get hungry. Sure. One more thing, yeah.
Uniform.
A uniform. Now, see, here's the thing. A farmer's not going to have a uniform. But how about clothes, right? I mean, you're not going to want to go out and fight the British naked, right? Bang! Quit looking at me! I'm cold. You're going to want clothes. And what I have here is a button, probably from a soldier's uniform. Now, early on in the war, the Americans wouldn't have uniforms, but later the Continental Army would. When you get a chance, look in your history book. You'll see a painting of soldiers from this time period and see that they're wearing buttons that look very similar to this, except this button lay in the ground for over 200 years. So it's kind of rusted and tarnished up. The ones in the painting, nice and new and shiny. Oh wait, what's that I heard no one say? You all right?
Yes, sorry about that.
Axe, an axe. That would be a good thing. Now that's an Easter egg. I don't always hand that out, but if the kids say axe, which I just planted for you because I wanted you to see it, I don't always hand it out. This is an axe. It's what's called a tomahawk. Now a wooden handle would be put inside there, and they would wear it tucked inside their belt. Now, this is something that a farmer would have. It could be used for things around the farm. You could use it for splitting wood, chopping down trees. You could use the other side for pounding nails. Or you could chop down some bad guys, split open some skulls, maybe pound some brains. Very, very useful. And in fact, it was so useful that eventually the British soldiers started picking these up and carrying them along with them too. All right, so the tomahawk. Please be careful with it. Don't poke yourself, try to cut yourself or check it out. Guys, if you even pretend to do that, like I just did, I have to send you to the back of the class. Be respectful. All right, now you guys came up with some good things and some other things. And one of the things you said was a gun or a musket. Now, this is a type of smoothbore flintlock musket called a Brown Bess. Brown Bess would have been issued to the British soldiers. Now, a farmer is not going to have a Brown Bess, but as a farmer, you're going to be bringing whatever kind of musket you have at home. Could be your grandfather's squirrel rifle or your uncle's shotgun. But whatever it is, pretty much they all load the same way. And I'm going to give you guys a quick demonstration on how to load a musket. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take some gunpowder from your powder horn. That's the explosive that makes the gun work, and you'll pour that down into the barrel, but not too much. Then you'll take a bullet made out of lead, and you'll put that down into the barrel. You'll take the tamping rod out, put the tamping rod down inside the barrel, and push the powder and the bullet all the way down into what's called the lock. Then you replace the tamping rod. You'll open the frizzen and put the dog's head in the half-cocked position. This is a safety position so that your musket doesn't accidentally go off while you're loading it. The soldiers would line up in rows, just like you guys are right now, and if your musket accidentally went off, that could be bad, right? Real quick thing, guys. If you want to keep your friends, don't shoot them. Okay? So put the musket in the half-cocked or the safety position. And that's where we get the expression, you don't want to go off half-cocked. Have you guys ever heard that before? I bet your parents have. Also, this is a flintlock musket. This is the lock, the stock, and the barrel. It's the whole shooting works, or the whole shebang. That's where we get those expressions. All right, then you're going to take some more gunpowder from your powder horn, pour it into the pan, close the frizzen, and stand at the ready. When everybody's ready to fire, we all fire at the same time. The commander says, ready. You'll cock the gun back so that it is ready to fire. He'll say, aim, and you'll pick a British guy you don't like. I got your muffin right here, buddy. And then he'll say, fire. All right, now I saw some of you flinch, and pretty much all of you blinked, and actually at some schools I see kids diving under desks. Children, this is a modern, non-firing replica. It's not a real gun. I am not going to bring a real gun to a school. I mean, come on, bring a real gun to a school. I mean, do I look like a crazy person that would bring a gun to a school? Do I look crazy to you? Don't answer that. This is not a real musket, but that is a real bayonet. A bayonet. And it's like a sword or a spear you put on the end of the musket. Now, a farmer's not going to have one of these. Later, the Continental Army would. The British, the French, the Hessians, professional armies like that, they would have these. All right, and actually, this one time I had this kid ask me, he said, Mr. Hawks, is the bayonet, is it for poking and stabbing? I mean, he was having a little bit of a meltdown. So I was like, no, sweetie, no. Because that would be rude. Here's what they would do. They would polish it up so it was super, super shiny. And they'd wait for the sun to come out from behind the clouds. And then they would shine it and flash it in the British's eyes. And while the British are saying, oh, I say, that's jolly bad. They'd run up and say, I don't like you, you smell funny, and you talk weird, and take your muffins and go home. British loser. What do you guys think? Is it for shining and flashing or poking and stabbing?
Poking and stabbing.
Actually, it's all of those things. You want the shiny flashy so the enemy all the way across the battlefield knows you've got the pokey stabby. Maybe he'll see that shiny flashy and go, ooh, shiny flashy, that means pokey stabby, which means, my mom's calling, gotta go, bye! All right, I am not going to hand out the Brown Bess.
No.
Oh, I know. Mr. Hawks won't even let us play with fake guns or real bayonets.
Oh.
Duh.
Aaron, you're so tall. You might have cut your hand off.
Not on accident. All right, guys. This is a powder horn. It's a horn from a cow or an ox. Can I get you to stop doing that, please? Thank you. Both hands away from your face. Thanks. All right, so this is a powder horn. It's a horn from a cow or an ox. They would cut this off, clean out the inside, put a wooden block on the end, drill a hole in this side, attach a rope or a string to it, wear it over their shoulder so it was ready to go right when they needed it. This powder horn was owned by a man whose initials were
J.B.
JBC. Now, we do not know what JBC's name was. I mean, does it stand for Justin Bieber Criminal? No. We don't know what his name was, but I can tell you a few things about his life by looking at something that he owned. Now, really quickly, this is the artifact that kids tend to hit the most. They'll tap on, oh, that sounds cool. I'm going to get some gunpowder. That's awesome. Yeah. There hasn't been any gunpowder in this for over 150 years minimum. If you hit it or even pretend to hit it like I just did, I don't have a choice. I have to send you to the back of the class. All right, so what can I tell you about JBC? Well, JBC was probably not a wealthy man. If he was a wealthy man, he would have a professionally made powder horn. That one is homemade. Maybe JBC made it himself. Maybe one of his neighbors or relatives made it for him. What else can I tell you? JBC probably wasn't very artistic. A lot of times the soldiers would take their knives and they would carve different designs, different patterns into the powder horns. Sometimes they would do maps of places they'd been. Sometimes they'd even do like little cartoons, right? Maybe you could do a cartoon, right? You do a cartoon of the king. He's the guy with the crown on. And then underneath you write, this guy smells like poo. Because kings smell like poo. I don't know. I've never sniffed a king before. Pretty sure you would go to jail for that. All right, so JBC. Probably not very wealthy, and probably not very artistic. Now this is a bullet from a musket about the size of Brown Bess. Now the soldiers would make the bullets themselves, and they would make them as round as possible. The rounder it is, the straighter it flies, and the more accurate it is. But this bullet isn't round anymore. Now it could be that the soldier made it, it was round, he fired it, and it struck something that changed its shape. Lead is a soft metal, I could see that happening. Now, if it struck something that was kind of hard, right, it would be stopped suddenly, flattened on one side, but still round on the other side. Something hard out on the battlefield, maybe like the side of a cannon, a house, or a big rock. Stopped suddenly. If it hit something, but this one isn't like it. It's kind of oblong, almost egg-shaped. So maybe it hit something that decelerated it slowly. Something not so big and heavy and hard on the battlefield. Maybe something kind of small and light and soft. Maybe like a haystack or a flower, a pillow, a cushion, or maybe a person. Because people by comparison are actually pretty soft. Maybe it hit a horse, or maybe, ooh, maybe this bullet hit the ground. It's actually estimated that the vast majority of shots fired during the American Revolution went over the enemy's head and hit the ground way behind them. So this bullet probably hit the ground. All right, now let's find out what else you guys know about the American Revolution. Did you hear about the little get-together that they had? Yeah, there's like singing and dancing, and there's people all dressed up, and they're drinking tea. You're supposed to do this when you drink tea with the little finger. Everybody do that? I said everybody do that. Okay, that's not tea. That's something else. There was probably some of that too, but they were drinking tea in Boston. The Boston
Tea Party.
Exactly. Okay, so there wasn't any singing and dancing, right? It's more like there was screaming and yelling and a little bit of a scuffle. Hey, what's going on? Did you see what his eyes are all? Anyway, okay, they were dressed up though, like Mohawk Indians, as a disguise, but it wasn't a very good disguise because everybody knew who they were. And they didn't actually drink the tea. They threw the boxes of tea into the harbor. I guess you'd have to do it like this, though. Well, the British believed if they could stop the rebellion in the city of Boston, they could prevent it from spreading to the other colonies. So they occupied Boston. They brought in 6,000 British soldiers, and they built fortifications. Now, these fortifications look a little bit like a castle that's made out of dirt and logs. What would you want to use to destroy that castle so you could get into Boston and force the British out? What are you going to want to use? Yeah. A cannon, exactly. But what's a farmer going to use a cannon for, right? Woo, right now. But actually, early on in the war, the Americans captured some British cannons at a place called Fort Ticonderoga. The British gave up that fort and the cannons without firing a single shot. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, I have a cannonball. Would you guys like to see it?
Yeah.
All right, now before I can hand out a cannonball, I need to explain to you some things about cannonballs for your safety. Cannonballs are made out of iron. Iron is very, very heavy and very, very hard. If you drop a cannonball, you're not going to hurt the cannonball. But if you drop it on your foot, yeah. People in the first row, I need you to be especially careful anytime you're handling a cannonball, because I don't want you dropping it on my foot. No promises, huh? Okay. All right, now this next artifact is what I think is the scariest and grossest artifact that I'm going to hand out today. The soldiers would disagree, and they would say that it's the last one, but I think this one's super scary, super gross. Cannonball. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Oh, what a cute little cannonball, could you go? But actually, this is a type of cannonball called a grape shot. And here's the way that it works. They would take a wooden plate with a wooden dowel sticking out of it, and they'd stack 50 or 60 of the grape shot onto that plate. Build it up so that it will look like a bunch of grapes. They would wrap it with cloth, tie it with string, and put that down the barrel of the cannon. They would fire it at groups of enemy soldiers, not at fortifications, at people. Imagine 50 or 60 of these coming out of the barrel of the cannon at several hundred miles an hour. Because it's made out of iron, if it hits something big and heavy and hard, it's not going to change its shape to dissipate energy. It's just going to bounce off. And it could still be lethal. If it hits something small and light and soft, it's just going to go right through. Now, if you were lucky, and you were standing in the third row and they fired the grape shot at you, maybe it'd go through him and it'd stick in her, and then you'd be all like, yay! But that's rude, okay? And if you weren't lucky, maybe it'd go through him, it'd go through her, and it'd stick in you. That's why I think it's so scary. In essence, the grape shot turns the cannon into a giant shotgun, and it could take out entire groups of soldiers. I didn't say children, I said soldiers. That's why I think it's so scary. Here's why I think it's so gross. When that cute little cannonball goes through you, it's going to take some of your clothes and skin and blood and muscle and bone along with it. When it goes through you, well, it's going to take a little bit of you. And it's going to leave a little bit of him. You are going to get splashed with him. You in the third row, don't laugh. Because when it sticks in you,